Thank you very much, Chairman. To our political leader, all of our MPs, senators, candidates, esteemed members of the United National Congress, fellow citizens, distinguished guests. I want to talk briefly about an effective education system, a pillar in the fight against crime and a foundation for Trinidad and Tobago's prosperity. This evening, we want to discuss a vision that takes education, national security, and economic prosperity together as a formidable tool in combating crime. Education is a deterrent to crime, and the research has shown that education can lead to crime reduction. In November 27, 2023, The Express has an editorial where they highlighted the link between education and crime. And they looked at the statistics between 8 to 11 years, primary school children, and that's about the SEA. And they discovered that 40% of these children were making less than 50%, and the majority were boys. And I looked at the statistics. In 2021, the prisons in Trinidad, male to female ratio was 97.1 male to 2.9 female. The majority were males. And so this amplifies the issue of male underachievement amongst all the other issues. And so that editorial went on to look at the data from the SEA against the country's poverty data and the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service disaggregated crime statistics. And they found that the districts with the highest number of underperforming students were the same areas with high levels of school dropout, poverty, family violence, and crime. So we know that education can make a difference. And so the less education people are, the more that graph will go towards crime. Now, the research was done early in the United States, and the trends in Trinidad are similar. And they refer to it as a school-to-prison pipeline. It's our education system, it's part of it like that. So how can we as a government, as a society, and especially as educators, divert or reroute that school-to-prison pipeline? And that is something we have to be very concerned about. And so we need to look at the underlying causes, the poverty, the learning disabilities, the lack of spiritual and moral guidance from the homes and the community, family support, child abuse, exposure of these young children to illegal and illicit activities, domestic violence. All of these are threats to children's natural development. And recently I got feedback from numerous educators who are working at different levels in the education system. And they told me that the school support services are overwhelmed by the amount of referrals and cases. One principal told me that they just got an appointment for a child for an interview with the specialist, but that child left the primary school 3 years ago. So that's an example of how badly functioning this system is. And I want to say that it's really important for us to identify those students who are at risk. This student support services is the weakest link right now in the system. And so especially for students and parents and teachers, we need to get that system working. And so that's why the recommendation of our political leader is so important. A doctor in every school or a cluster of schools, depending on the area and the needs of the students of that school. Let's give a round of applause for that. All her years in the legal fraternity and her experience in politics would have led her to understand how critical it is besides the additional social workers and the guidance counselors and the special ed, we need to, while our teachers are delivering the curriculum, have these first responders as such, taking care of all of these needs of these at-risk students to ensure that we have a world-class system. And so I want to talk about what has to be changed strategically, and we spoke about it, and Dr. Gopi Singh is here, and he would have initiated a lot of this in his time. Educational reform, developing a curriculum that is relevant and inclusive, a curriculum that is not overloaded for the students, the teachers, and the parents, especially in the formative years of the development of the children. And that's from about age 5 to 8 years old. And I know some parents here don't like homework. Anybody don't like homework? Yes? Parents get a lot of homework, and the system is overloaded. And so you have to, the system has been dumbed down to math, language, and creative writing. And so we have to be more holistic in terms of how we expose our young children in the system. And so educators have referred me to the core areas: reading, writing, maths, moral and values, which are character building. You must have the visual and performing arts, the PE, the music. All these things help to build teamwork, life skills, essential life skills. The young people learn responsibility. And so that can even start from the preschool. And there's a motto you see in all of these primary schools: learn to read to learn. And so that's where the delinquency starts. If you can't read, a lot of your issues start from there. So when you go to university, they tell you you've come to read for a degree. So if you can't read, whatever language it is, you have a serious difficulty. You have many hurdles to overcome. And so therefore, we need to develop in our young people that strong sense of self-esteem through all of these core curricular areas. And I want to say that it will take more resources to correct the errors we have made in the education system, and especially in terms of funds. So we need to look carefully at how we streamline that primary school curriculum to produce grounded, rational citizens. And so let's look at the cost of these errors. I looked at the cost of maintaining prisoners. And in 2016, that gentleman who Anna Roberts spoke about, the then Attorney General, Mr. Faris Alwari, made the front page of The Guardian, 7th of April 2016. And he indicated that the monthly remand prisoner upkeep was $25,000 a head, 50 million a month. And if we do the maths, that's 600 million in a year. So in 2024, when I looked at the data, there are about 5,000 prisoners. And he used the 2016 cost, and cost goes up. In 2011, it was 400 million. 2016, it was 600 million. That is approximately 1.5 billion resources that could have been applied earlier in the education system for those resource people who we need. So I ask the question, are we funding prison school? I've been told by the lawyers here and a lot of people on the outside that when young people go into the prison for a particular matter, they learn all kinds of other skills. And then the repeat offender rate is 52%. So I want to say that today, to all of us, that an effective education system is one of the tools that will help this nation to reroute that pipeline from school to prison to produce citizens that we are proud of. And so we want to ensure all of our learners have access to appropriate education. You know, not everybody could do the academics. So therefore now, what about the role of TVET, the vocational, the technology areas? And so what does success look like for the UNC in delivering a world-class education system? It is ensuring that the curriculum is modified to be able to use that laptop or that tablet for teaching, and the teachers be trained in integrating this new technology in the curriculum to meet the individual education needs of the children. So children can attain success at one level and then move to the next level. So I want to say to all of you that that laptop project, Dr. Gopi Singh, let's congratulate him. Yeah? And so, as we look at education, I want to say that we have to divert that pipeline from the school to the prison, and an effective education system will make that difference. Thank you so much.